Well, hello there. Happy Sunday to everyone. It's Sunday, January 22nd, 2023. There are sports. So let's do the Sports Algorithm podcast. Thank you, Jeff, for purchasing access to the Google Sheet that has all the picks in it. Today, you get me rolling out of bed and preparing all of the sports because that's what happens when somebody purchases one in the morning as I get up and do it. So let's talk about all the different sports that are going on. Let's talk about football. Yesterday, big miss on the Giants. The Eagles are definitely a team that came to play. We had this being a close game. While I did recommend taking both the underdogs plus the points, Jacksonville works out with a meaningless field goal, sort of at the end of the game, kind of, to get them to within 7. They cover, but the Giants not even close. I mean, I was thinking about this game. I didn't watch the game, but I tracked the scores a little bit, and I mean, looked like the Eagles just absolutely had the answer at every turn. And this was an undefeated season up through like 8 or 9 weeks of the season. Giants coming off of having to play a wild card game, like the Eagles were just waiting and ready. And so the win score percentage massively in favor of Philadelphia ends up working itself out more than the points. So Giants plus the points lost. I did bet that and I lost. Somehow we got the points of this game exactly right. And we got both of the points projections fairly close. They both would have covered the over-unders as they were published. Now let's talk about Sunday. So we have games today. And I saw that Mattress Mac bet like a few million on the Cowboys. Wow. Wow, Mattress Mac going against the algorithm. I mean, the algorithm predicted the Houston Astros were going to win the World Series. I saw Carlos. Carlos was helping out and doing the baseball algorithm over the summer, and he kept sending out images every day. And he had Houston winning those games like 5-1. And sure enough, the Astros did win. So Mattress Mac, why are you going against the algorithm? That's not right. It's because you're a Texan. Is that why? I think it is. So he's rooting for his hometown team, and the Niners. The Niners are supposed to win this convincingly, much more than the spread. So we'll see how that goes. Then there's the Buffalo Cincinnati game, which now it favors Buffalo. Oh my gosh, I had to run an injury report just to make sure. I'm on RotoWire. You can't see that. You can't see that screen, but I'm going and I'm grabbing a new injury report just to run it. Now this is going to end up changing the projections from Saturday as well because I haven't frozen them yet. But let's just see what happens. All right, so I'm opening up the injury report, and I'll show you how you do this when you are looking at the NFL file, if you have a copy. If you want a copy, just contact me. I'll sell you one. I don't know how much. I don't like to haggle. Whatever you think is fair, I'll send you a copy. That's kind of the way it works for the algorithms. You send me an email, you want one, you send me some money, I'll just send it to you. I don't want to haggle. I don't want to put a price on it. It's too much for people. I don't want to put a price on it. It's too little. I don't want to haggle. I just want to do work. I'm a worker, not a salesman. All right, so we go to now refresh the projection pivot, okay? What this does is all the injuries and injury statuses are all going to update over here when we refresh this. And they did, and now let's go back to the pick sheet. And now when we refresh, we're actually going to get slightly different scores if the injury report changed at all. So let's pay attention right here. Well, pay attention right. Nothing. Okay, nothing changed. What about Saturday? Saturday, not much changed either. All right, so there hasn't been much movement on the injury report, is basically what that's saying. Man, so Buffalo wins at home now. I wanted to take Cincinnati. Didn't it say Cincinnati earlier in the week? Do I know what I'm talking about? Should anyone listen to me? Don't listen to me. Listen to the algorithm. Well, so you have two favorites today, but you do have San Francisco covering. Both these should be really good games. I know Dallas has been playing better. I understand Mattress Max wager a little bit. They seemed like a hot team, really running over whoever they played last week. Did they play last week? Not on set on a different day. They played Tampa Bay, but Tampa Bay was not a good team. So when you go back and you look here today, I want to give you something to do that the algorithm is saying. The algorithm is saying San Francisco covers heavily. I mean, if you just really, without thinking, look at the algorithm is like, yep, take San Francisco to win. And they're also like, take San Francisco to cover. But anything more than a field goal is kind of annoying. So that, and then I'm gonna take Cincinnati. I'm sorry, I'm going against the algorithm. I think they're a good team, and they've shown they can win by making it all the way to the Super Bowl last year. Buffalo, I mean Buffalo, they should nickname the stadium Scott Norwood Miss Stadium or something. I mean, this is a team that's never won a Super Bowl, right? Didn't they lose 4? When I was a kid, they kept losing to the Giants, the Redskins, the Bears or the Pittsburghs. I don't know. They were losing to everybody. So they have to break that curse. And maybe I'm talking them into it today, but I'm going with Cincinnati because Cincinnati's at an underdog line. Look at what the line is. The line is 215, and they're a really good team. I don't care if it's away. They know how to play in the cold. It's not like the weather's good in Cincinnati. So algorithm says these two. Ken says these two. Ken's usually gets his butt beat by the algorithm. So there you go. All right, that's football for the day. Let's get rid of the injury report. Now, let's go to hockey because we'll do basketball together at the end. Huge day of hockey yesterday. Only goes 8-6, but it wasn't that awful. There were some weird losses, like Chicago had a new goaltender, Jackson Stauber, who managed to beat St. Louis, I guess, if he actually started. That's what it said. You have this close game where Nashville wins, but some big ones win, like Dallas beats Arizona. Edmonton covers and beats Bruce Boudreau's last game for Vancouver, apparently. And Edmonton made them lose. Washington gets destroyed by Vegas. That stung. That was Darcy Kemper got rocked early there. Colorado wins a really close one in a shootout, but they do win. And then up top here, you get the loss out of Tampa Bay, but you get the win out of the Buffalo. This score is wrong. This was 5-3, I think, this Minnesota game. Fix that. I think that was 5-3 or something. I hope I might not have all these scores correct. I think Montreal upset Toronto. That's what happened. I will say this often. Toronto knows how to lose games. Toronto is the Buffalo of Canada. It's kind of close too, right? Toronto just knows how to blow game. And Martin St. Louis, Montreal, which is, I think, further away from Buffalo than Toronto is, comes through. All right. Well, whatever. Let's talk about hockey today. Is there anything to take? Well, you have a Boston excellent team over San Jose is playing a back-to-back game, right? I mean, yeah, no wonder that line's minus 350. Boston excellent team. Then you have Vegas over Arizona at only minus 190, so it's a little better. And Jersey over Pittsburgh at minus 140. I believe that. New Jersey's a pretty good team. I thought they were going to be that way as I looked at their roster early in the year, and look at them. They are playing better. So that's actually kind of one of the better lines. It's really minus 140. These two are not awful. Minus 190, minus 140. They're not good, though. And Winnipeg over Philadelphia. Philadelphia beats Detroit yesterday. Winnipeg is playing well. It's a pretty good team. And then you have LA against Chicago after LA losing yesterday and Chicago winning yesterday at plus 195. It's interesting that's the closest game, just without, the algorithm is saying in a straight bet situation, you actually take Chicago because it's a plus 195 and this game's supposed to be extremely close. So the round robin or the parlay picks look like Vegas, Jersey. I guess Boston just to win, but it's not worth it. And Winnipeg. And I might throw Chicago in there as a full 5. All right, that's hockey. Now let's go to NBA because I want to discuss what happened with NBA yesterday. So in NBA yesterday, I'm using new different crazy combinations for our distribution percentages. If you've seen any of those videos, basically what I'm doing is I'm going into this standing sheet and I'm weighting different standings, taking those standings and I'm saying, which ones do we really care about? Which ones are really determinant when it comes to whether or not a team's going to win a game? And things like historical points per game, win losses, margin of victory, ratings, they come into play. And I'm testing out new percentage distributions, testing out a ton of these. There will be like probably thousands I test eventually. And I'm building them because it's actually hard to build a random distribution set for this because it's a little complicated. So I'm working on that. And yesterday I didn't do anything, and I just put whatever the first distribution was as the picks, and it didn't do well. It does better when you look at this. This is how it retroactively would have done with this distribution. This wasn't the distribution I had yesterday. It was something else, and this thing goes like 3 and 4, I think. So I started messing around with distributions again to get a better one, and this is the better one, and the better one is now set up for Sunday. So that was a long-winded way of saying I think that the NBA is fixed for now, but I'm doing a bunch of work on this, So this is a week-long process of writing a macro and doing a whole bunch of stuff. So kind of hold off on NBA, but we can glance at it. We do have a Brooklyn Nets at a huge underdog line against Golden State. I have refreshed injuries. This is an underdog because they're injured, New Orleans is. Doesn't look like a great day of much of anything on here at all. Although for some reason the Nets can do it against the Warriors, and that's a really good line. So that might be worth a straight bet. Last night it was the Sixers. I got the Sixers when they were down, and I got them at plus 400 because they were down 10 points at halftime. Got them at plus 400, and they won yesterday. So that was an enormous, that actually made me up on the day. I was bouncing around all day long, but I ended up because of a couple things, and one of them was that. So in-game bets sometimes on basketball. If any of these teams that are really favored, I'd watch out for New Orleans because of the injuries, and I'd be careful with Dallas because of the injuries right here. Also, there's really no great pick, but Denver probably beats OKC at home. I could try to go to that game, but it's really cold, even though that's inside. Trailblazers are going up against an injured Lakers, so that's why that line is probably so bad, and they should probably win anyway, but not as much as you'd think. But this Brooklyn game at plus 255, apparently that's bettable. All right, now let's go to college basketball. So here's college basketball's today's version. We'll cut right to it and see if there are any picks today, because I haven't even looked at it yet. Do you see some underdogs here? So what you want is you want home underdogs. Are there any? Nope, of course not. What about just home teams? Here are your home teams. Home teams above 10% margin, 90% of them are supposed to win. We're going to go over yesterday in a second to see if that was true. So there's 16, is that? No, there's 8 teams. These are the 8 teams that are above margin 10%, but Sienna's injured against Fairfield, so be careful there. Although that injury has been showing up for at least a few games. These ones, none of these lines are good, but 90% of those teams are supposed to win. So we'll see. Anything below that, you've got a really injured Washington State and a sort of injured Colorado. Another game I could go to. That's minus 230. No underdog lines. So you can see it's a really tough board, and Indiana's injured against Michigan State. So Michigan State has a chance there. Michigan State, a team that likes to upset other teams also. Very tough board. What do you do? The only underdogs there are away teams. And none of them have margins above 20%. So they're all wishy-washy. And there you have it. Injured Memphis. No wonder they're an underdog. These 3 have possibilities. Bryant especially because the better strength of schedule. So if there's one underdog on this list that you try, it's Bryant at plus 125. Because they're healthy and they would win in a vacuum, even though they have to go into UMass, into Lowell, and play that game. Now let's talk about yesterday and finish the video just reviewing stuff. So if you look at yesterday, I didn't complete all the scores because I got lazy. I didn't do these. I could do them later. I did do these. And what it says is 89 and 29, but this is with today's stats because I didn't freeze. Stuff's really, really complicated, folks. But this is probably accurate, meaning this is probably what the rendering was yesterday, or very close to it. And 26 games in a row went up top. And one thing I like, well, let me answer the question I said I was going to answer first, then I'll go into other stuff. Question is, did 90% of our home teams above margin of 10% win? How do we answer that question? We click home team. and we filter value filters greater than the margin is greater than 0.1. We'll end up with our final record, which is 26-2. Is that really correct? It might be 25-3 actually, because when I import the current day's stats and I don't freeze stuff in the past, it retroactively slightly adjusts things with today's stats as the projection variables. So I think it was actually 25-3. I have it pasted in the Google sheet and we could check, but this is still, I mean, even if it's 25-3, it actually goes below 90%, right? If that happens, it's 25-3. Yeah, it's 89%. So I'll call it 25-3, which is still rounding to 90%. So yeah, it actually does what I say it does a lot of the time. More than half the time, it hits 90% of those home teams above 10% margin. So even on an enormous day like this, although there are other games I didn't record scores for also, so I need to do that. But anywho, so today, I mean, we can look more yesterday. There was a lot of winning, but there was also some not winning. Look how many games I have in here, a tremendous amount. Overall home teams went let's see. Overall home teams went 42-11. People care about the spread, but I'm just not going to mess with the spread. It's just too hard. We're trying to project scores, but I'm just also looking for winners. Teams try to win games. I try to keep it simple. So the home teams did pretty good things. Chattanooga lost. Pittsburgh lost. Kansas lost to TCU. Amazing. At home. Then you start to have a string of losses as you get to this margin around 5%. How did our away teams do yesterday? 47-18 under. Whoa, that's fascinating right there. So our away, remember I said our away, I almost want to say our away teams above 20% are going to win 90% of the time because it's starting to look like that. I mean, look at this, right? Here's where your margin stops at 20%. And right there, the last one loses, but the other 20 win. I mean, I know this is a bit different, slightly different rendering than yesterday. So I think it's making it look a little better than it actually was, but that still is probably accurate to the order. We're very close. And I mean, and then you're supposed to lose away teams under that like 5 and 10% margin right here. And you kind of split them, really. It's about even. Wow. So the college basketball algorithm, I mean, expect great things from this thing because it really does do that frequently. All right, so that's the update for Sunday. That's the podcast. And if you do one college, what did I say, Bryant? You don't want to take an away team as your pick of the day in college basketball. So what home team is the one you take? I want to take Michigan State. Actually, I'm going to open like Michigan State's line is going to be good. Michigan State's line is going to be like plus 160 or something. And Indiana's got a worse strength of schedule. And even though they're home, they're injured. And I got a hankering for Michigan State. So I'm taking Michigan State at plus 150 or whatever it is, simply because it's way down on this list. And I don't know. That's my gut instinct, but never trust my gut. Always trust the algorithm. But the algorithm says Indiana is more injured. And this game's really close. So it does say that. All right. Good luck, everyone. Well, your picks be winning. If you watch some football, I don't know who I want to root for in this game. I don't know what kind of crazy bet to make in this game. I'm certainly taking Cincinnati because they're at an underdog line. Absolutely. I'll lose the money on them, but I'm going to lose it at plus 215. I mean, that's fine. They're a good team. This is going to be a good game. And as for Dallas, San Francisco, I mean, Mattress Mac, however many millions he bet on Dallas, boy, that would be a big upset algorithm wise. And I mean, that stuff can happen, but this game's in San Francisco. San Francisco to cover seems like the way to go. All right. So good luck, everyone. May all your picks be winning.